Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to take notice and look at this beautiful baby boy right here. And I'm going to tell y'all, this young man, he looks handsome. Like he looks like he could grow up and become anything. Like he looks like he's going to run a company, own his own business, be the president. He could have been an astronaut. What do y'all think that this young boy wanted to be? Perhaps, maybe he wanted to be, like most kids, a superhero. You guys see how he has that Superman shirt on? Well, the reason I'm bringing up the Superman shirt is for this reason. And I want to say shout out to my friend Bubba. I don't know if he watches my channel, but he's my biker brother. He's going to always be my brother. But his son passed away and died what we believe to be foul play. Okay? That case is still pending. We're hoping to still get justice for Wilder. But Wilder also loved those colors. Superman colors. So again, that not only brings that to my forethought, but it made me think of his son, and it made me think about these individuals that we're getting ready to talk about, these demons. So let me warn you guys, I'm going to say some things that might piss you off. I'm going to say some things that are not going to sit well with your sensibilities. If you cannot handle that, I understand if you need to exit my video. All right? But I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm not going to be deterred from speaking my mind. That's your disclaimer. Despite a murder conviction in the case of the slain 8-year-old boy, authorities in South Carolina still don't know who actually pulled the trigger. This story is just a special level of stupid. A special level of dumb. Y'all hear what I'm saying? I want y'all to look at this broad on my screen. This woman is a horrible mother, a horrible example of a human being. I want y'all to hear what she did. Her name is Linda Monette, 25 years old. She was sentenced on Friday. She got 40 years in prison in a case where another suspect shot and killed young Mason Hanahan. That's the little boy's name. The little boy right here, that's Mason. Mason Manahan. Hanahan, excuse me. A suspect shot and killed young Mason Manahan, or Hanahan, I'm sorry, I get confused with that word, says the 11th Circuit Solicitor's Office in South Carolina. That was real hard to say. Linda Monette had helped stage a home invasion to steal drugs and money from her boyfriend, who's the child's father, authorities have said. So she's in a relationship with a man that she wants to rob. That is a special level of low. That's lower than a bow-legged caterpillar. Y'all hear me? Doing the limbo. That's lower than low. She tried to set up and rob her current boyfriend, her boyfriend at the time, and ended up causing his son to get shot because she called some thugs over to try to rob her thug. Do y'all see how stupid this is? Hashtag when you date thugs, you date death, right? But it gets worse. Let me tell you guys the details. That woman, Monette, had attempted to pose as a helpless bystander, the plan being to have a gun held to her head. During closing arguments, Deputy Solicitor Susan Mays addressed Monette's guilt under the hand of one is hand of all legal principle in South Carolina. I've never heard of that. In other words, it didn't matter really who pulled the trigger. In the eyes of the law, everyone was similarly guilty. And I do like that because, you know, everybody gonna lie. Ain't nobody gonna tell the truth about it. One well-cited South Carolina Supreme Court case explains, under The hand of one is the hand of all theory. One who joins with another to accomplish an illegal purpose is liable criminally for everything done by his confederate incidental to the execution of the common design and purpose. It's a very fancy way of just saying, we're going to get all y'all asses. Y'all all were complicit in some shape, form, or fashion. And I kind of like that, especially in this case. Several other key South Carolina cases also expound upon the principle. Several of those cases note that it's well settled under South Carolina law that a defendant may be convicted on a theory of an accomplice liability pursuant to an indictment charging him only with the principal offense. And yet another case explains when the law does and does not allow co-defendants to be swept into the vast web of criminal culpability, internal punctuation cleaned up. Jurors found Monette guilty of charges including murder, criminal conspiracy, and burglary in the first degree. Let me read that again. For causing this baby boy's death, she got murder, criminal conspiracy, and burglary in the first degree, and that netted her 40 years in prison. She'll be 50 to 60 years old when she gets out of prison, depending on if they make her only do 80% of the sentence. To me, this should have been an easy slam dunk life sentence. But it's the technicalities that get us every time. The murder of Mason, baby Mason, I'm going to call him baby Mason. He's not a baby. He was 8 years old, but he's a second grader. So, the murder of Mason has been the intense focus of our entire office for over 2 years, said 11th Circuit Solicitor Rick Hubbard. The lifelong impact of this crime on Mason's family, baseball teammates, and the Oak Grove community has been immeasurable. A shootout ended with Hanahan dead and his father injured. Ammunition from the other suspect's gun killed young Hanahan, the autopsy determined, according to the Columbia NBC affiliate News. Mason Hanahan was a second grade student at Oak Grove Elementary and a standout player on the Pineview Dixie Youth baseball team, according to the solicitor. Mason had dreams of becoming a professional baseball player, so at least we got to find out what he wanted to become. He had been selected to the Dixie Youth All-Star team a week before his death. Isn't that something? And don't feel bad. That's the biological father. Don't feel bad for him because he's a drug dealing piece of shit too. And I will get to the details about him. He is far from a saint in this. After the shooting, investigators soon put their attention to Monette, the girlfriend, who prosecutors said made multiple inconsistent statements, lying. Authorities looked at her ties to local gang members. Wow. During a voluntary interview in May 17th, 2019, with Lexington County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Marlo McCann and Detective Joe Hart, his girlfriend, Monette, admitted that she conspired with others to commit the staged home invasion and had the gun held at her head as part of the plan for the robbery to make her seem like she's the innocent party. In other words, it was an inside job. Monette and Mason's father were in a relationship at the time of the incident. Where's the biological mother in this story? That's a great question. Don't have the slightest clue. But it makes you wonder. Definitely makes you wonder. Let's keep going. And that's according to Lexington County Sheriff spokesman Captain Adam Merrick told the news in an email. It was routine for her to stay at the Hanahan home. The child's mother, here we go. The child's biological mother has said that the boy was staying over at his father's place after baseball practice. So it sounds like the mother usually had custody of her son. The last time she saw him was helping him get ready for school. We're all devastated, according to Tyler Hanahan told the news. I'm thinking this is not real, and I'm going to be able to pick him up from school. Merrick told the news that investigators are still looking for the actual shooter. Now, why both of these jerk-offs go to jail? Why would they not try to get some time off of their sentence and tell who actually put this thing together? Who actually committed this crime? We don't really have much to go on, they wrote in the email. We know the home invasion was staged and arranged in part by Monette. As for details on the person who was at the home and fired the shots the night of the incident, our work continues on that part of the case. We believe people in the community know that person, who that person is, and we encourage them to come forward and share that name with us. So if you saw something, say something. People with information about the shooting can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 888-274-6372. No tip is too small, and any information is greatly appreciated by law enforcement and the family of Mason Hanahan. Here's another part about it. The shooting resulted in separate and tangential tangential. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce this word. Y'all can laugh at me if you want. Tangential. Tangential. The shooting resulted in separate and tangential charges against Mason's father, Austin Graham Hanahan, and he was accused of selling illegal drugs. And I know I might have messed that word up, but I mess up words sometimes. I'm not perfect. Trust me, I'm far from it. The elder Hanahan was arrested in 2019, catch this, for a count each of possession with intent to distribute marijuana and unlawful conduct to a child. His attorney of record did not immediately respond to the news request for comment. Let me give you guys the fair usage, and let me let you guys hear about this wild story. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And if you guys are currently watching this stream, if y'all would, look at the number of people who are watching, and if you would, help us to reach and click that thumbs up so we can have a thumb up for every person that's watching to share the memory of these babies, okay? And no, I don't feel bad. I actually did pretty good reading all of the rest of them big $15 words that were in that article. I'm like, wow. But anyway, let's go. Let's get it.
Good evening now. Thanks for being with us. I'm J.R. Berry.
And I'm Darcy Strickland. We begin today with an update. New details this evening involving a home invasion that killed a boy yesterday morning.
8-year-old Mason Hanahan was shot and killed, and the man who lived in the home was also wounded. Now we're learning details about an arrest of a woman who also lived inside the home.
Nick Jones has those details now.
News 19 has obtained documents where someone has been arrested in connection with the case of an 8-year-old that was shot and killed on Tuesday morning. Mason Hanahan, a second grader, was shot to death after deputies say someone invaded this home off of Cedar Vale Drive. Deputies say gunfire was exchanged between a man who lives in the home and a masked man who broke in. After the 8-year-old was shot, the masked man fled the scene, and deputies say they're still searching for that suspect. After obtaining an arrest warrant, News 19 discovered 23-year-old Linda Lynn Manette has been arrested in connection to the case. According to an arrest warrant, Manette is being charged with possession of marijuana with intent to distribute. The arrest warrant said she had over 28 grams and less than 10 pounds of marijuana. It states in the warrant marijuana was found inside Manette's home in her possession after a search warrant was issued. The arrest warrant says a large amount of money and packing materials that's typically used for marijuana sales was found inside the home. According to detention records, Manette has been placed under cash surety bond of $20,000. The Lexington County Sheriff's Department says they're still looking for the masked man that fled the scene on Tuesday morning. If you have any information that can help investigators, you are asked to call 1-888-CRIME-SC. We'll make sure we'll update you once we get more information on the case.
A night out to celebrate. A spot on his baseball all-star team turned into a night at Dad's house for Mason Hanahan 2 years ago.
I'll pause the video real quick to address this because this is actually a great question. And Allison said, my question is, did the biological mother know that her ex-husband was a dealer? Here's my theory. It's not definitive. It's a theory. I say this about most cases. You ready for this? You don't just wake up one day and decide that you want to start dealing drugs and pushing weight. That's something that you generally do over the course of a long period of time. That's either something you did up into your teenage years, up into your 20s and maybe your 30s, but that's usually a long-standing pattern. That's a pattern of behavior. I'm saying that it's impossible that the mother did not know what type of freaking fool that she was dealing with. Debate that. I wonder who's going to get in their feelings on that one. But hopefully that actually answers your question. But I'm glad you brought that up. But I know I'm going to have somebody in the comment section talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about. They always do it. You just assuming, Judge Jay. That we're talking about things that you know. You know what he does. You know what he was charged with. You know what he had. And that's not something that you just wake up one day and start doing. That's something you've been doing. Been stupid for a long time. Let's get it.
A night out to celebrate. A spot on his baseball all-star team turned into a night at Dad's house for Mason Hanahan 2 years ago. The 8-year-old got permission from Mom to stay with Dad on a school night. Mason never stepped on another baseball field. Didn't even make it to school the next morning.
They engaged.
I bet you the biological mom couldn't tell you what that man did for a living. And if he did have a legitimate job, don't y'all think that he would be jeopardizing his job by doing and dealing all of these drugs? So I'm going to assume that he didn't work a traditional 9-to-5, assuming. And if he didn't, then that would obviously let you know that you're dealing with somebody who are doing illicit things. Red flags and yellow flags, like been talking about for years. Pay attention to the context clues.
To school the next morning.
They engage in gunfire between the two, the intruder and Mason's dad. Mason's dad is struck. Mason is struck.
He was shot to death in a home invasion on this quiet street. A home invasion detectives say was planned by Linda Monette, who was in the home at the time of the crime. Arrested just days after the home invasion, Monette is still in jail awaiting a murder trial.
And unfortunately, we did what we could with Miss Monette, and we worked that angle, and we were able to get enough to charge her. But at some point, everybody has a sense of self-preservation in them.
The shooter is still out there. Investigators believe someone conspired with Monette to plan and carry out the armed robbery of the Hanahan home on Cedar Vale Drive.
And it's not about us, it's about Mason. It's about Mason's siblings and Mason's mom and Mason's family and how they feel and what it would mean to them to be able to get to our end goal of being able to get justice for Mason.
There was more pain for those who loved Mason months after his death. His father, Austin, was arrested because of drugs and cash deputies found in his home during the investigation. 2 years later, the family still wants to know who worked with Monette to stage the home invasion gone wrong.
Tips tend to be the lifeblood of the case, and it's something that in cases like this could be something small to somebody and they don't think they have much. It turns into something huge for the case.
If you have any information on this case, please share those tips anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 888-CRIME-SC or by using the Crime Stoppers mobile app. For the Lexington County Sheriff's Department,
Lexington deputies are looking for another suspect connected to the shooting death of a child. Last Tuesday, investigators say a masked gunman entered a home on Cedarvale Drive and then exchanged gunfire with a man who lived there. 8-year-old Mason Hanahan was caught in that crossfire and died. 23-year-old Linda Manette of Lexington and 24-year-old Renario Romero Jr. of Columbia were arrested and charged. Warrants show Monette actually lived at that home and was there when the shooting happened. She's charged with murder, attempted murder, and criminal conspiracy. Meanwhile, Romero was charged as an accessory to murder before and after the fact in criminal conspiracy.
So was he involved? I'm assuming. I don't know. This story is a bit confusing.
Deputies say the duo planned this robbery in advance, targeting several pounds of marijuana, which they knew to be inside the house. Now, investigators want to find a third suspect.
We want to hear from anyone who has any sort of information that could be helpful to us. The best way to do that is to call Crime Stoppers. We feel like somebody's got a name. We feel like somebody knows something. And even the smallest of tips that someone might think is insignificant could end up or could certainly contribute to a big break for us. You don't have to give your name. Nobody's going to know your name. Go ahead and call that number. Let us hear from you, and that's going to go a long way toward our work on this case.
All right, again, you heard it. Lexington Sheriff's Department's looking for more information. They need your help. Call 1-888-CRIME-SC.
40 years in prison. That's the sentence given to a Lexington County woman who was convicted of murder in a home invasion that left an 8-year-old boy dead. Mason Hanahan died after being shot in the head in May of 2019 at a home on Cedarvale Drive in Lexington. The boy's father was also shot in the stomach during a shootout with a man who broke into the home. Now, police say the girlfriend of the boy's father helped plan the whole thing. She's 25-year-old Linda Monette. Again, she got 40 years in prison. Meanwhile, police are still looking for the gunman. If you have any information that can help, again, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers.
Here's what I want to say in closing. To those people out there who might be feeling sorry for the biological mom, like she's a victim in this circumstance for losing her son because of what her ex-husband or ex-boyfriend was doing with his current girlfriend, let me get you guys to understand something. Hashtag when you date thugs, you date death. And where does that start? That starts with the mother. The mother chose this man to begin with. I'm going to say she got with him and he was already dealing drugs. That was already what he was doing. If she wants to deny that, I think it's bullcrap. I think she absolutely knew. So she laid down with a thug, had a baby by a thug, broke up with a thug, thug got with another thug, and then those thugs started planning thug behavior on the thug, and then the thug became a victim of his thuggery and lost his son because his son was caught in the lion's cage when a bunch of lions were trying to maul each other to death. How about that? Most people and most content creators will never say the words that I just said and put the onus and the accountability where it belongs to be. And that's at the feet of the biological mother because she chose to have the seed of a thug. The baby boy was an innocent byproduct of that choice. And what this baby boy went through, it sounded like he had a productive life going forward. He had already made it 8 years, which was a blessing that he survived that long being around his dad, who was doing all of these illicit behaviors. And then it finally caught up to him. He messed with the wrong female. And how can you think that you're in a relationship with somebody that sets you up? That's not love. That's stupid. And you're blind if you didn't see that coming and see the fact that this woman loved thugs because she loved you. She loved your illicit behavior. So, yes, she probably had some thugs and those thugs didn't behave. And I hope that they catch all of them. Give them all life sentences. Everybody. And the mom needs to stand on that and understand that this whirlwind that happened to her son is based on the choices and dating choices that she made. Y'all get mad if you want to. Don't get in your feelings. Get more in your feelings that the circumstances caused this young, bright boy's death. He was not able to defend himself against the circumstances that were strewn on him. I hope I said that right. Had a bright smile, and I think that if he were allowed to grow up and thrive in a healthy environment, he could have grown up to become something great. So to Mason Hanahan, young prince, R.I.P. And I thank you guys so much for listening to the story with an open mind as well as an open heart. Thank you.